When Love Was Never Mine. Previous episodes are available in playlist, a link is given in the video description. Episode 6. When Everly went to get more food, Olivia changed her profile picture to a photo that Everly had secretly taken of her. Then she took a photo of the ocean and posted it with a caption that read, "Far, far away." Little did she know that Ethan was waiting for her outside her apartment. Olivia and Everly hadn't returned yet, so he waited in the car. As he'd watched her retreating figure earlier, he'd recalled how she'd donated $5 billion, and that filled him with unease. It was the same discomfort he'd felt when she'd jumped off the building. He needed an answer to his questions. Finally, Brent said, "Mrs. Miller is still having barbecue, sir. She probably won't be back soon." "Where is she?" "It seems like she's at the seaside. She just posted a picture of it." Ethan immediately refreshed his social media feed, but the newest post he saw had been made an hour ago by a random fitness guru. The caption read, "Breaking news. Frequent consumption of fried eggs can lead to this disease." When did she post it? 22 minutes ago. When Brent noticed Ethan smoldering, his voice grew quieter. "Can't you see the post, Mr. Miller?" Clenching his phone tightly, Ethan said through gritted teeth, "She must have removed me." It was awkward that she'd removed Ethan from her social media but not his employee. Warily, Brent pointed out, she also changed her username and profile picture. Ethan snatched the phone from Brent. Her profile picture was now a photo of herself under a dim street light. The soft light outlined her silhouette, and her hair was dancing in the wind. Her gentle smile completed the picture. Ethan swiped his finger over her lips, but all he could feel was the cold phone screen. She'd once vowed to never change their couple photo. Her new post showed a blurry view of the sea. Ethan asked, "What does she mean by this?" "Mr. Miller, this isn't my area of expertise. I've never been in a relationship, but when women change their profile pictures and make posts like this, they're usually upset." Tonight's events have likely. Brent didn't finish his sentence because he didn't need to point out that what Ethan had done was obviously not great. "Yeah, I know. Mr. Miller, you've been too lenient with Ms. Carlton. Take Collington Cove, for example. It was clearly built for Mrs. Miller, and the same goes for the evening dress. You spent so much time and effort on it, but she insisted on having it even though it didn't fit her." He added, "She even changed the hospital name they had initially decided on." It would be no surprise if it made Mrs. Miller disheartened. Instead of replying, Ethan said, "Take me to the seaside." "All right." Brent easily deduced Olivia's location through Everly's recent post. The two men soon arrived at the restaurant, where they saw Olivia carrying a drunk Everly outside. Just then, it began to snow. In the snow, Olivia spotted the tall, imposing man standing by the roadside, almost blending into the darkness. If not for the flickering light in his hand, she might not have noticed him at all. Everly pushed Olivia away and began to curse loudly. "If I were as rich as you and if your lackeys hadn't been around today, I would have chopped you into a." Brent quickly covered Everly's mouth and said to Olivia, "Miss Fordham, let me take your friend back." Pushing his hand away, Everly continued shouting, "Hey, handsome guy, why do you look so much like lackey?" Brent grimaced at Everly's choice of words. By the way, that lackey isn't as handsome as you. He always has a stern face, like this. Everly imitated Brent, who just watched as she dragged herself to the car. Everly patted the seat beside her and said, "Hey, you're cute. Why don't you let me take care of you?" Brent was about to decline when Everly added, "I'm really good at taking care of things. The last dog I took care of became so fat and healthy." Brent didn't know how to respond to that. Olivia hadn't expected to see Ethan here. Masking her discomfort, she asked calmly, "What about Everly?" He put out the cigarette in his hand and answered, "Brent will take her home." Olivia wasn't worried about leaving Everly with Brent. She was more concerned about what would happen between her and Ethan. Tiny snowflakes danced around Ethan, creating a stunning scene. He looked at Olivia and said, "Shall we talk?" Olivia didn't even spare him a glance. "Mr. Miller, I've been good recently. I haven't had any contact with any man, not even Keith. I've deleted his number as well. If any member of the opposite gender is in my vicinity, I'll run away." "So you deleted my number too?" Ethan asked through gritted teeth. "Your number is still there, and I can still reach you whenever I want." "Olivia." "Mr. Miller, you don't need to come get me. My car is here." With that, Olivia quickly got into the car. As she was about to close the door, someone's hand gripped it, stopping her from closing it. On the wrist was a watch worth $8 million, gleaming brightly under the street light. Ethan stood tall, blocking the light and snow behind him. Within moments, a layer of snow had accumulated on his shoulders and head. His long arm rested on the edge of the car door, and his domineering presence filled the space between them. Fixing his eyes on her, he said, "I said, let's talk." His tone was heavy, with no room for negotiation. It was a sign that danger was just around the corner. Olivia observed his figure, taking in the regal air he exuded. He was blocking the light and wind outside, which made the car seem smaller than it already was. Throughout their marriage, she'd always been in his shadow, vulnerable, and without the right to make any choices. She lifted her gaze to meet his calmly. "Do you want it now? Is that it?" After all, that was the only thing that was going on between them right now. Her question left Ethan stunned. Taking advantage of that, Olivia closed the car door and instructed the driver to go. In the distance, Ethan's figure faded in the wind and snow, much like her dream when she'd been a student. Olivia was restless and antsy for the rest of the night, afraid Ethan would retaliate. However, there was no sign of Ethan for the next few days. Marina, on the other hand, couldn't stay idle. Soon, Olivia learned that Marina intended to raze the Fordham residence and turn it into an animal breeding ground and slaughterhouse. Furious, Everly cursed Marina out. "Is she crazy? How shameless can she be? If it wasn't off limits for building a crematorium, I bet she would use the land to pile dead bodies. Now she's killing cows and pigs there to get under your skin." Olivia's face fell when she heard about it. Marina sure was ruthless. The Fordham residence could be used for commercial purposes or as a personal residence. However, the graves of the Fordham ancestors lay in the backyard, where they had been buried for over 100 years. The Fordham family had wanted to relocate, but a fortune teller had advised them not to as it would bring bad luck. Olivia didn't care about what the fortune teller had to say. In fact, she didn't care that Marina was making her life difficult either. However, she couldn't just watch and do nothing about Marina desecrating her ancestors' graves. At this moment, Marina was playing with her two children. They were fraternal twins, a boy and a girl. Ethan had named the boy Connor Miller, whereas Marina had named the girl Irina Miller, a combination of Ethan and Marina's names. "Irina, come here," Marina called. Recently, Connor had learned to walk, but Irina still had to hold onto the furniture when she took steps. The girl was weaker and didn't have Connor's sturdy legs. "Mom, Mom!" Irina reached for her mom. "You're amazing, sweetie. Let me give you a hug," Marina said, before turning to Connor. "Come here, Connor." Connor glanced at her before quickly turning away, showing no intention of coming over. He had Ethan's cold, aloof gaze. Since Ethan had brought Connor back, he'd always been staring out of the window. He ignored everyone and kept to himself. Occasionally, when he fell asleep, he would call out "Mommy" a few times, but when he woke up, no matter how much they coaxed him, he wouldn't utter the word again. Since birth, the child had never been close to her. Although he and his sister had shared the same womb, their personalities were completely different. Marina watched him as she mulled over it. Just then, her assistant entered the room, saying, "All the arrangements have been made, Ms. Carlton. I used my connections to expedite the approval process, and it should be done soon." Marina handed the child to the nanny beside her so that she could open a bottle of red wine. Watching her glass fill with the dark red liquid, she grinned. "I want to see how long she can stay calm. Mr. Miller and Olivia have already divorced, Ms. Carlton. Since Mr. Miller is so devoted to you, why do you still need to do this?" the assistant asked. Marina glared at the assistant, asking, "What do you know?" The assistant trembled in fear and quickly lowered her head. "I'm sorry, I spoke out of line." Marina knew well that Ethan's kindness to her had nothing to do with love. He'd done it out of a sense of responsibility. She'd thought that Leia's death would make him completely disgusted with Olivia, but he'd only become more emotionally entangled with her after their divorce. As long as Olivia was still around, Marina's status as Mrs. Miller would never be secure. She'd waited for several days, but Olivia hadn't fallen into her trap yet. Nonetheless, she refused to believe that Olivia would remain calm after finding out about her plans to turn the Fordham residence into a slaughterhouse. Soon, she received a call from Olivia. "Hello," said Marina sleazily. "It's me, Olivia." Olivia sounded slightly annoyed. "Why did you call me, Ms. Fordham?" Marina asked. "Marina, we all know what you want. Why don't you drop the act?" Olivia retorted. "No need for small talk. I'm at Collington Cove, and by the way, bring that Hilton chick with you." With that, Marina hung up the phone. Meanwhile, Olivia's face fell. It was clear that Marina wasn't only out to humiliate her, she also wanted to punish Everly for her previous act of defiance. She could already see it coming. Olivia looked at Everly, who was busy whipping up a soup for herself in the kitchen as she hummed a song, oblivious to what was happening. "Everly, I'm going to the supermarket for a while. I'll be back soon. Do you want me to take you there? No, thanks. I just want to get some fresh air. Everly didn't suspect anything. After all, Olivia hadn't done anything fun or leisurely lately since she'd been solely focused on improving her health. Don't be out too late. I'm making chicken soup for you tonight. Okay. Olivia smiled and nodded before she picked up her hat and scarf. Fully prepared, she took a taxi to her destination. She considered all the possibilities for how this could play out on her way to Collington Cove. All she had to do was abandon her pride and cooperate with Marina. It couldn't be that difficult. What did her pride matter when she was about to die anyway? It was her first time inside Collington Cove. The decorations were all to her liking: blue arches, horseshoe-shaped windows, grey walls, and white curtains swaying in the sea breeze. It had a mysterious, romantic air to it. It was a pity that the owner of the house was Marina. With the maid leading her, Olivia arrived at the spacious and bright living room. The room sported a 270-degree circular floor-to-ceiling window that provided a clear view of the sea from every angle. Before she spotted Marina, something touched her leg. It was Connor, whom she hadn't seen for some time. "Mommy," he called out, his voice cute and pleasant to the ear. His eyes were sparkling like stars in the sky, and Olivia felt a little more affectionate toward him. Connor opened his arms toward Olivia, drooling as he said, "Mommy, hug me." Olivia wanted to reach out and pat his head, but the nanny quickly came over and took Connor away. "Oh, come upstairs, quickly, Connor. Mommy will come to play with you later," the nanny coaxed. Connor was very upset about being taken away and began to cry, reaching out his arms towards Olivia. "Mommy, Mommy!" Olivia's heart ached, and she was surprised that she felt this way towards Marina's son. After a while, Marina appeared on the second floor. As she could hear Connor's voice from afar, she told him, "Good boy, you finally know how to call out to me. I'll come to you later." Connor ignored her and kept looking in Olivia's direction. Marina plopped herself down on the sofa as the maid asked, "What drink would you like?" Marina rested her head on her hand, looking at Olivia with indifference. "I heard that you bake good cakes. If that's what it takes to get the Fordham residence, I can bake for you." Olivia got straight to the point. Marina laughed in response. "Olivia, Olivia. I should have expected this. After all, your family has its own business. I'm sure you've been taught that you have to give something to get something. I assume you want to talk about Fordham residence. What makes you think you have the right to negotiate with me? What do you want to eat? The maid will tell you." Following the maid's instructions, Olivia baked a plate of honey cake. "Too sweet," Marina commented. Olivia baked a second one. "Too hard." Olivia kept finding excuses to reject it. When it came to the fifth attempt, she poured the batter on Olivia's hair. Olivia held her anger in check, letting the flour mixture run down her hair and drip to the floor. Olivia lowered her head, trying to conceal her emotions. Her voice was very soft, making it difficult to discern her emotions. "Miss Carlton, I'm not a chef, so I cannot bake something to your liking." Yet Marina didn't stop there. She haughtily responded, "Olivia, you should know that I hold grudges. Didn't I tell you to bring Everly with you? This is the consequence of not listening to me." Olivia knew that Marina's arrogant and reckless behavior was all thanks to Ethan. Olivia, on the other hand, had no one to back her up. That's why Marina thought she could treat her however she liked. As Marina gleefully enjoyed Olivia's misery, the latter, who'd been considering it for a while now, suddenly moved. Swiftly, she picked up the remaining bowl of batter and slapped it on Marina's face. Evidently, Marina hadn't expected Olivia to retaliate. Just like that, her new hairdo was ruined. Exasperated, she screamed, "You little bee! What have you done? No one would dare to do this to me!" As her face was plastered with batter, Marina couldn't see where Olivia was after the latter had retreated. Grabbing at the air blindly, Marina tried to seize hold of her. Sensing movement, she lunged forward, only to step on the batter, slip, and fall to the ground. "No one has done this to me before either, Marina. You aren't the only one who has been pampered their whole life. You can't just ruin my hair as you please." Taking full advantage of the situation, Olivia slapped Marina hard before stomping on her a few times. "This is for my dead child. This is for my dead marriage. Ah, I'll kill you. Help me, you silly fools. Why are you doing nothing?" Marina was infuriated at being physically assaulted by Olivia. Meanwhile, the only maid in the kitchen was frozen in shock. By the time the other maids arrived to rescue Marina, Olivia was holding a sharp knife. "Stay right there!" Since her face was still covered with batter, Marina couldn't open her eyes. However, she could feel something cold against her neck. "If you move an inch, I'll kill you." Marina was utterly shocked. She'd never imagined that Olivia, whom she'd bullied in the past, would suddenly go berserk. Gulping, Marina said, "If you dare to hurt me, Ethan won't spare you." Sneering, Olivia answered, "He never spared me to begin with." "Marina, why must you always take everything from me? You even want to take away Fordham residence when I have done nothing to offend you. If you keep this up, I'll just end things right now." With that, Olivia brought the knife closer, causing Marina to let out shrill cries. "Stop it! You'll be dead meat if you kill me." "Well, I won't be alive for much longer. Trading your life for mine isn't too big of a sacrifice. I don't have a lofty, esteemed life like you do. Since my life is in ruins, I don't see why I shouldn't end it all right now and take you with me." Shivering in fright, Marina cried, "Stop!" Olivia sighed, asking, "What other choice do I have? I just want my possessions back. Yet you take the things I work so hard for away from me so easily. Not only that, but you're determined to destroy them too. Since I have nothing left, you're coming with me. It's just Fordham residence. Why, you can have it back." Olivia had prepared more ways to torment Marina, but the latter had folded so quickly. Given Olivia's unusual, erratic behavior, Marina was truly afraid that she would hurt her with the knife. "Why should I trust you? You could always go back on your word, and I wouldn't have a chance to do this again." Marina thought to herself, "Do this again?" Hurriedly, she explained, "I'll make a call right away to cancel my application. I'll transfer the deed for Fordham residence to you. If you don't believe me, we can get lawyers to notarize this agreement." Softly, Olivia answered, "Do you think I have no leverage against you? I've only been trying to be civil all along." Emotional, Olivia violently grabbed Marina's hair. "Isn't Ethan a loyal, perfect man? Aren't you his precious sweetheart? I'm sure everyone would love to hear that he has an ex-wife, and you're nothing but a heartless, sly woman. I have all the evidence." She knew her threat was unlikely to affect the untouchable Ethan, who'd never cared what anyone else thought about him. However, Marina had worked hard for her achievements, and her reputation was everything to her. Hence, the threat effectively made her quiver in fear. All right, I got it. Well, it's just Fordham residence. I'll give it back to you. Just keep the knife away from me. One last thing, if you dare to trouble my friend, I will ruin your reputation. You're a smart woman, Miss Carlton. I'm sure you understand that it's not worth losing everything over such petty matters." Before this, Olivia used to think that engaging in such petty fights was unbecoming of her. Now all that mattered was the satisfaction that it brought her. Marina felt like her scalp was about to be ripped off her head. Her gloating behavior had vanished into thin air, now replaced by desperation instead. "Yes, yes. I'll listen to everything you say. The knife, please. My neck hurts." The edge of the knife blade was stained bright red with blood. While Olivia had exerted enough strength to make Marina bleed, it was in no way life-threatening. "Remember this pain. If this happens again, I will kill you right away." "Yes, I understand." Trembling in fear, Marina decided to avoid this psycho in the future. Finally, Olivia released her grip on Marina's neck. Cursing her rotten luck, Marina kicked the maid aside as she headed upstairs to shower and get changed. Connor, who'd been forcibly taken away, was wailing for his parents. Despite her best efforts, the nanny's attempts to pacify and soothe him were all in vain. When her phone fell out of her pocket, Connor crawled over to grab it, drooling as he called, "Dad! Call! Call Dad!" Sometimes, Ethan would video call Connor through the nanny's phone. Hence, the nanny had no choice but to call Ethan. When it came to Connor, Ethan always answered his calls immediately. The moment the call connected, he was greeted by the sight of Connor's bloodshot eyes. He looked like an albino rabbit. "Dad?" he cried, sounding rather aggrieved. Ethan wondered what caused Connor to cry like that. After all, he barely cried even when he fell. "What happened?" Ethan asked. "Sorry, Mr. Miller." Connor started acting strangely when a guest arrived and insisted on clinging to her. "He started crying after I took him away." Since the nanny was Ethan's employee, she didn't withhold any information from him. A guest. Connor hardly ever initiated going near anyone. He wouldn't even show Marina any affection. "I think they called her Miss Fordham," the nanny answered, oblivious to Olivia and Ethan's relationship. Just then, Connor rushed to the window as if he'd made a new discovery. The nanny trailed after him, calling out to him. Since they were on the second floor, they could see Olivia, who was wiping her hair with a wet towel. The sight of her filled Connor with excitement. Sprawled on the floor-to-ceiling window, he repeatedly cried, "Mom! Mom! Olivia sensed something. She raised her head to look at the window above her. The sweater on Connor made him look like a little polar bear. He rested his palms and cheek against the window, overflowing with cuteness. The good soundproofing blocked his voice from seeping through the window. But she could tell that he was saying hi to her. His adorable action appeased the displeasure in her as she smiled and waved at him. Ethan happened to witness the scene at that moment. It felt like he had returned to the time he first met her. That morning, the ponytail girl was waving at him with a smile as dazzling as the sun. 10 years had passed, yet he could remember that smile vividly. He pulled his senses back. Olivia would not come to Collington Cove alone. There could only be one reason for this. She came here for the Fordham residence. Ethan hung up the call. Brent reported the slaughterhouse incident to Ethan. Ethan shoved the ashtray onto the ground, thinking, Marina is getting nosier day by day. Get the car ready, he instructed coldly. Olivia's cheeks felt cold because of the breeze. She didn't want to stay in a room that was specially built for Marina. She'd rather stay outside in the cold. After a shower, Marina headed downstairs with a robe and shower cap. There was a scrape on her neck. The manicurist she hired arrived at that time. She rested on the white leather couch. Marina enjoyed her pedicure, relishing in the top-notch service. Olivia returned to the living room. Marina, who resented her to the bone, wasn't as arrogant as before. Marina wore an icy expression. I can give you Fordham residence, but I have 2 conditions too. Olivia frowned. You want a negotiation? Earning a living is tough. I think it's reasonable for me to have 2 conditions from you when I'm offering a $5 million worth house. Fire away, Olivia prompted impatiently. First, leave Aldenvine. Second, disfigure yourself. Olivia questioned back, are you out of your mind? Do you know what you're talking about? Marina tossed a fruit knife onto the carpet casually. I want you to stay away from Ethan. Once you ruin your face, you won't pose a threat to me. You have something on me, but I have your father's weakness. Do you want to expose his deists to the public? Olivia's face slightly changed, giving Marina a sense of triumph. Marina continued, we're no less different from each other. None of us are innocent with clean hands. Olivia Fordham, I want you to ruin your face and leave Aldenvine in exchange for the house. Other than for Fondham residence, Olivia was here for something else. Mastermind. Having tested her a few times, she could tell that Marina was not the Tarina was unaware of her terminal illness, so she need not waste her time on these matters. But who else could it be if it wasn't Marina? White Olivia was absorbed in her contemplation. Marina motioned at the maid next to her. A maid with a built stature kicked Olivia by the calf from behind, causing her to get on her knees. The maid unsheathed a knife. Here, Miss Fordham. Olivia stared at the knife, which reflected her frowning face. Marina Carlton, I haven't agreed to it yet. The maid did not care. He wore a contorted smile. Miss Fordham, this is your only option. Don't worry. Miss the Fordham residence to you after you ruin your face. Olivia attempted to free herself, but the maid was too strong. As Fordham, since you can't bring yourself to do it, allow me to have the honor to help you. The maid then flung the knife toward her face. A loud crying echoed against the wall. Connor was standing by the staircase, wailing. Surprised, The maid stopped her movement. Although Marina wasn't close with Connor, as his mother, she didn't wish for her kid to witness the cruel scene. She instructed, "What are you doing? Make sure the kid doesn't see this." The flustered maids rushed toward Connor. Marina was irritated by the sudden crying, too. She urged, "What are you standing there for? Do it!" The maid said aloud from upstairs, "Master Connor must be having an allergy reaction. There are a lot of rashes on his body and face. Call the doctor over." Marina was very impatient. Instead of dealing with Connor, she was anxious to settle the score with Olivia because it was her rare chance to do so. Olivia looked at Marina in disbelief. "He's your son. He's so little, and he's crying. You should at least hug him and comfort him." Marina sneered. "If you make it quick, I can do that right away. He's crying so helplessly upstairs. He's not my child, but why does it wrench my heart to see him crying?" Olivia wondered. Her instinct was urging her to throw the knife away and hug Connor. At this moment, Connor suddenly mustered the strength to break free from the maid's grasp. "Master Connor!" the maid shrieked as he rolled down the stairs. Thanks to her speed, Olivia was fast enough to catch him in her arms. Rashes crawled all over his tear-stricken face. "Mama! Mama!" Connor snuggled into her embrace. The wholesome scene infuriated Marina so much. "Olivia Fordham, stop dragging the time. If you can't do it, I can help you." She gestured at the maids to approach Olivia. One of them wanted to take Connor away from Olivia, while the other was planning to hurt her. Marina didn't budge from the couch amidst the mess simply because her pedicure wasn't done yet. Today, Olivia finally realized that not everyone deserved to be a mother. She was taken aback by how Marina wasn't bothered to comfort Connor in this kind of situation. To Marina, the pedicure and Olivia's disfigurement were more important than her kid. Olivia grew pity toward Connor, finally understanding why he was very attached to her whenever they met. Right now, he was hugging her so tightly, showing no hints of letting her go. She didn't have a reason to let him go either. Amid the fight, Olivia accidentally rolled down the stairs with Connor in her arms. The child, whom she failed to protect in the sea, fleeted across her mind. She hugged Connor tightly to take all of the pain and danger upon herself. Until they rolled over the final fleet of stairs, her first reaction was to smile at the surprised boy. "Don't be scared. I'm here." Connor stared at her in a daze. The shock was too much for him to handle that he forgot to cry. Marina didn't rush over to check on him. Instead, she said, "Ruin her face right now." The two maids came up to Olivia with a knife. "We're sorry, Miss Fordham." No one in the house had the nerves to go against the future Mrs. Miller. Her words were their orders to take. The pain sapped Olivia of her energy. Grogginess and exhaustion got the best of her. All she could do was watch the sharp knife drawing closer to her. The moment the maid raised the knife, she heard a roar. It was as though the king of the beast let out a furious rom, deafening enough to shake the wine's forest. Ethan ran over at full pelt. A frantic Marina noticed him and sprang from her seat, putting the pedicure at the back of her mind. The nail polish splashed onto the floor because of his abrupt action. The striking red adored the white carpet. "Ethan, I can explain," she said anxiously. He ignored her and bypassed her swiftly. "However, the maid with the tall stature didn't stop her even after noticing his arrival. Marina brought that maid along to the country back then. Her name was Sana Ashbluff. She had been working for Marina before the latter's mother passed away. Not only did she know martial arts, she was 5'7" and weighed 160 pounds. Thus, she appeared bold among average women. Sana clearly heard Ethan hut. She was aware that Olivia was the thorn in Marina. She needed to home for Marina. That was why she didn't stop even after hearing Ethan's voice. Just one cut was enough. That one cut would be able to ruin Olivia's beautiful face. And she would never be able to restore her beauty again. It was the same for Olivia and Ethan's relationship. Once there was a flaw, it would be impossible to return to how it was before. No man would like a woman with a scarred face. As time passed, Ethan would definitely fall for Marina. Thus, Sana tried to hurt Olivia. A gunshot was fired out of the blue. The maid screamed in fear and dispersed. The bullet hit the knife off Sarah's hand. Brent hurriedly approached her and forced her to kneel by kicking her calf. He then cuffed her hands behind her. "Don't move." The bullet had scraped her arm. If the gunshot was fired to the side a little, she could have been disabled. The gunshot had stunned her into silence. She didn't dare to move a muscle. By then, Ethan had helped Olivia up. He asked, "Are you all right?" Her body felt sore, and her scraped forehead was bleeding. There weren't any serious injuries, but she wasn't worried about herself. "Check on him. He's having an allergic reaction." Her anxious expression was a complete contrast to Marina's. The first thing Marina did after coming up to Ethan was to shift the blame instead of hugging Connor. "It's her. She pushed Connor off the stairs. My poor boy. He almost died from the fall. She's such a cruel woman." In the past, Ethan wouldn't expose her true colors even after seeing through her. But today was an exception. Infuriated, he grabbed her by the collar. "I'm not blind, Marina Carlton." Her face fell as she racked her brain to come up with an excuse. Olivia didn't want to waste her time on Marina. Ignoring her bleeding wound, Olivia quickly lay Connor on the couch. She instructed, "Bring me a napkin and cold water. We have to elevate the reaction through cold compression right now. Mr. Ingram, buy him some medicine." "Sure, Mrs. Ms. Fordham." Brent released Sana and left the house with hasty steps. Meanwhile, Marina was still trying to find fault with Olivia. "Ethan, did you hear that? Look how despicable she is. It's cold. Yet she's going to give Connor a cold compression. He's in a serious condition right now. Is she trying to make him catch a cold?" Olivia couldn't put up with her antics anymore. "Shut up. Are you really his biological mother?" Marina found Olivia's question hilarious. "If I'm not his mother, who else is?" "You. If you are his mother, you shouldn't be this cold-blooded. He's having an allergic reaction and has fallen from the stairs. The first thing you did isn't protect him and comfort him, but to attack me. Do you even call yourself a mother?" Marina said, "Now that Ethan's here, don't assume that you'll be able to restore his feelings for you by defining me. Ethan was there when I gave birth to Connor. He knows very well that I am Connor's mother." Olivia couldn't care less to continue the boring topic with her. The incident proved that some people were unsuitable to be a mother because of their inherent character. Connor's nanny rushed over with a basin of water. Olivia took his top off to place the Napoleon on him. But something was weird. Kids usually cried or threw a tantrum when they suffered from itchy rashes. Yet, Connor was all quiet. His eyes were fixated on her as he grasped the hem of her clothes tightly, wanting her to stay. It was as though he wasn't afraid as long as she stayed by his side. "Hold it right there! What are you doing to my son?" Marina was obviously against the cold compression. Olivia shot her a cold look. "It will contract the veins and stave the itchiness off. He's not feeling well right now. It takes a single scratch for the rashes to spread. The worst case scenario is that it might cause a fever." Marina wanted to say something, but Ethan stopped her sternly. "Shut up." Throughout the 2 years, it was the first time Olivia witnessed him treating Marina that way. Marina clearly felt wronged about it. Soon, she began causing trouble. She said, "I have always been extra careful when it comes to Connor's diet. Why is he suddenly having an allergic reaction? What did he eat?" A maid answered, "Master Connor ate half a slice of honey cake. Miss Fordham baked it." Marina glared at Olivia. "Olivia Fordham, how dare you feed him a honey cake? You knew that he's allergic to it. He's allergic to honey." Olivia was surprised to find a similarity between herself and Connor. "Stop playing dumb. You came here for Fordham residence and offered a honey cake in order to please me. I didn't drive you away because I treated you as a guest. And yet, you have an ulterior motive. Just come at me if you. How could you harm a mere kid? It's not only that. Ethan, look at my neck. She was trying to kill me." Marina knew that Connor was Ethan's priority. Anyone that hurt Connor would be in big trouble. She thought that as long as she could shift the blame to Olivia, he would let the incident slide. Olivia finally realized that Marina was setting her up all along. That was why Marina requested a honey cake. Olivia figured that Marina wouldn't have kept her promise even if Olivia had disfigured her face and left the city. A calculating woman who used her son to her advantage would never keep her promise. As an afterthought, Olivia's heart ached for Connor. Judging from Marina's attitude, she was clearly not a mother materiel. Ethan didn't take Marina's side like he always did. He scolded sternly, "Shut up. You keep finding fault in others ever since one came. Do you even care about Connor? I can't help but wonder how you have been fulfilling your duties as a mintage." His gaze swept across her outfit. Her half-polished toenails disgusted him. "Ethan, get out. I don't want to see you right now." Forget about keeping her pride. Refraining from strangling her to death moment was his best concession. "Do you even care about Connor? I can't help but wonder how you have been fulfilling your duties as a mother." His gaze swept across her outfit. Her half-polished toenails disgusted him. "Ethan, get out. I don't want to see you right now." Forget about keeping her pride. Refraining from strangling her to death at this moment was his best concession. Habits that will keep your relationship hot and exciting. Ethan attempted to keep his emotions under control. He was afraid that he might break Marina's neck if she was around here. If he had arrived 1 second late, Olivia would have been hurt. He was able to tolerate Marina's jealousy in the past. He took it as a trivial matter, but he didn't expect things to escalate this far. Ethan looked at the wound above Olivia's eyebrow. "Disinfect your wound. Leave Connor to Mina." Mina Whitman was Connor's nanny. Olivia finally heaved a sigh of relief after Connor's rash was under control. She left the rest to Mina. "Mama, Mama," Connor called her upon noticing that she was leaving. He became anxious, no longer the quiet boy he was a second ago. It pained her to see him crying, so she returned to him to give him a hug. Only then did he nestle quietly in her arms. Ethan took the cotton bud to disinfect her wound. Olivia instinctively dodged him, but he insisted. "Don't move." Everyone in the house worked for Marina, making him the only person she could trust. So, she did as he said. He knew that she didn't like pain, so he made sure his touches were light enough. She endured the pain without grunting. Obviously, Ethan was the reason that Olivia grew from her frailty. It was a result of his cold treatment and hurtful words. She lost her smiles and never complained, not even grunting when it hurt. He looked at her hair, which was covered in egg stains. Anger rushed through his veins, reaching every part of his body. He lost control of his strength at the brief distraction, and the cotton bud prodded her wound. She hissed in pain. "Does it hurt a lot?" He quickly checked on her. He held her chin and cooed, "I'll be lighter." His tone made the air feel slightly weird. She shifted her gaze away from him. "It doesn't." He disinfected her wound and plastered a pink band-aid on it. He thought that women liked it when things were cute, so he had cute band-aids. It was his habit. Olivia said aloofly, "Thanks." She drew farther from him. "It's getting late. Eve is waiting for me to return home for dinner. I'll leave Connor to you. Goodbye. I'll ask Kelvin to send you, okay?" "Thanks." "Home." Olivia banded over Connor to Ethan. But Connor's eyes became teary almost instantly. "I want Mama. I want Mama. Be a good boy. I will visit you some other day." She caressed his head gently. He sobbed, not wanting her to leave. Ethan pulled Connor over. A glare from Ethan was enough to make Connor behave. "I expect nothing less from a father and a son. How great would it be if Connor was my son?" The thought flashed across her mind. Deeming it scary, she shook her head to shake the idea off her mind. "About today. I will make sure justice is served," Ethan said. "Treat Connor better." With that, she left the place. She stared at the vast sea, thinking, if my child is still with me, I will make sure to treat him well, not use him to win a man's heart. The thought of her child, who didn't have the chance yet to see the world, pained her. She barely took a few steps when she fainted in front of Kelvin. "Mrs. Miller." Kelvin quickly held on to Olivia, supporting her. She managed to fight the drowsiness away. "Mrs. Miller, are you all right? I'll take you to the hospital." She shook her head. "I'm fine. I'm low on sugar. That's it." She was aware that her body had reached its limit after she fought with Marina and saved Connor. Kelvin observed her, anxious. "But why do I feel that you're getting weaker? I'm really fine. Please take me home." After she left, Brent returned to the manor with medicines. The cold compression and the medicines managed to mitigate Connor's allergic reaction before it became worse. Ethan patiently checked on Connor. Obviously, Olivia had protected him well. That was why he was unscathed. It had been a rough day for Connor. Exhausted, he eventually fell asleep in Ethan's arms while clutching his shirt. He entrusted Connor to Mina. Marina approached Ethan with a vulnerable expression. "Ethan, you have to believe me. Olivia came to retrieve the Fordham residence. She made a honey cake to please me. But she became vulgar with her words after I refused to give her the residence. She even threatened me with a knife. The maids protected me by snatching the knife from her. Then, she held Connor hostage. Fortunately, you came back in time. Otherwise, it would have been a tragedy." Her story was full of loopholes. Ethan didn't want to and couldn't care less about this pointless subject. He cut to the chase. "I want the Fordham residence." Marina was shell-shocked. Without the Fordham residence in her hands, she didn't have a trump card to oppress Olivia. Thus, she would never hand over the residence to anyone else. She walked up to him. "Ethan, you gotta believe me. Olivia seriously has a knack for acting." He shoved her away. "I know her better than you. And I know you all too well. I did not intervene in your matters, but that doesn't mean I'm blind. Marina Carlton. I've granted all of your wishes, so do not cross the line. Don't let Jethro's sacrifice be in vain. This is the last time." He stood up. She pleaded, "But I've asked someone to proceed with the." Ethan's icy gaze landed on her, exuding a murderous intent. "This is not a negotiation. I'm informing you. Take good care of Connor, and stop wasting your time on useless matters. If you keep testing my patience, I can't guarantee you that I will show up at the engagement party." He then left. Despite his calm tone, it was a wake-up call for Marina because he had never spoken to her in that way for the past 2 years. Olivia Fordham. That peesh. She shoved everything from the table to the floor before going upstairs with a grim expression. Everyone in her sight was an eyesore to her. Even her cat was kicked for simply passing by. Marina's anger reached the roof when she saw Mina. She slapped Mina in the face. "Useless trash. You had one job. And you can't even look after a kid." Mina pursed her lips. Ethan had personally assigned her to look after Connor. Thus, it was natural for Marina to vent her anger on Mina first. In fact, it was another maid who fed Connor the cake while Mina had a restroom break. But the truth didn't matter to Marina. Mina was used to Marina's true character and didn't dare to confront Marina. The only thing she could do was to hang her head low and become the punching bag. "The sheer sight of you hurts my eyes. Scram! Get out of my sight!" Marina ordered. Yes, Marina watched Connor, who was asleep. He resembled Ethan so much. They resembled each other because Connor's father was Ethan's younger cousin. However, it pained her to hear Connor hugging Olivia while calling Mama. Marina woke Connor up. He was still sleepy when he murmured, "Mama." "Connor, could you say that again?" She was slightly excited. It was the first time he addressed her that way. He surpassed Irina in terms of intelligence and other aspects. If Irina could call her that, there was no way Connor couldn't do the same. It was because he didn't want to. Connor noticed that Olivia wasn't around as soon as he woke up. Now that the person before him was Marina, his drowsy eyes regained their calmness. He pursed his lips, not wanting to say a word. Marina became anxious. Connor, repeat it. He didn't utter a word, let alone call her mother. His deadpan face was the same as Ethan's. Marina waited for a while to no avail. She vented her anger on Connor. You brat! I gave birth to you and raised you. And you can't even call me your mother. You're so happy whenever you call your mother, hey? Why did I give birth to an idiot? Other than your face, you're useless. She turned him over. He cried as he didn't know what he did wrong. Mina hurried over to the scene, and Marina stopped. Marina threw Connor at her, threatening, "You have quite the temper. But I'm warning you, if you let anyone know about this, you ought to leave this house tomorrow." Connor wasn't Ethan's biological son. Yet he resembled Ethan so much. Besides, Ethan gave him paternal love in order to placate the guilt of losing a child. Thus, Marina needed Connor so she could become Mrs. Miller. She didn't want to infuriate Ethan with such a matter. Marina left. Mina's eyes reddened when she saw Connor's swollen butt. She had been babysitting him for a year, and she had grown attached to him. She thought, how could she do this to a little kid? As a mother, she's nowhere as good as Olivia. Mina initially thought of reporting it to Ethan, but she deemed it as a lecture from mother to son. Marina didn't really hurt Connor. If Ethan found out about it, that would reveal her disloyalty toward Marina. Judging from Marina's character, she wouldn't allow Mina to take care of Connor if she knew. She suppressed the grievance and comforted Connor. At the roadside of Seacrest Port, Brent was checking the surveillance footage of Collington Cove. There were a few hidden surveillance cameras within the house. When Ethan saw Marina pouring eggs over Olivia, he clenched his fists. The crease between his eyebrows smoothened a little when Olivia fought back. However, that was only the beginning. Marina's following actions made their skins crawl. Connor cried and fell off the stairs. Yet, the first thing she did wasn't protect him but ruin Olivia's face. Had Olivia not protected him by risking her life, he wouldn't have been able to stay uninjured from falling down the stairs. Brent was surprised by the event. If anyone sees this, one might mistake Ms. Fordham as Master Connor's mother. Ms. Carlton didn't care about her son. "She's so cruel, Mr. Miller. Are you going to take this kind of woman as your wife?" There were no surveillance cameras in the bedrooms. Based on the surveillance footage of other areas, Marina was not affectionate to Connor and acted indifferent. On top of that, today's incident had hardened Ethan's understanding of her selfish character. He reclined in his chair, sighing. "I owe her. I don't have other options." Brent wasn't aware of their past. So he was curious as to what made Ethan end up like this. "Hand over the Fordham residence to Olivia. You take on the procedures," Ethan instructed. "Got it." Ethan shut his eyes, replaying the scenes in his head again and again. The scenes of how Olivia was drenched in egg stains and how she hugged Connor and rolled over the stairs. Brent reminded him, Ms. Fordham almost fainted when she left the house. "Mr. Miller, you keep saying that she's ill. I think she really is." It pained Ethan to know that. He opened his eyes and coldly said, "Tell the Carltons that the engagement party is postponed." Brent was quick in handling matters. He managed to receive a notarial certificate on the same day. Olivia was aware of how she was able to retrieve the house. It was thanks to the fact that she was willing to risk her safety to protect Connor. She did it out of reflex at that moment. Even if Connor was Marina's son, he was an innocent child. She smiled self-mockingly. There was a cut on her eyebrow, and she received the Fordham residence in exchange. The moment she shut her eyes, she always recalled how Marina forced her to get on her knees. She couldn't help but clench her fists. Olivia spent the following 2 days peacefully. Not only did she retrieve the Fordham residence, but Ethan also didn't show up in front of her. Coover found new findings regarding Jeff as he sent a few pictures to her. At that moment, she was eating the cherries Everly prepared. When she saw the pictures, the cherry in her hand fell onto the floor before it reached her mouth. Her phone fell onto the floor, too. Everly's lips were rosy because of the fruits. She looked back at Olivia's pale face. What's wrong? The share price plummeted? Or a celebrity caught in a scandal? Olivia didn't answer Everly as she broke into a cold sweat. What's the matter? You look like you're possessed. Don't scare me. I'm a coward, Everly muttered while picking the phone up. The phone screen was still unlocked, so she saw the pictures. It was a car accident. A truck bulldozed across the green belt before crashing into a black car, crushing it flat. Isn't this your father's car? Are you all right? Why are you looking at these? Olivia finally found her voice, but her voice was trembling. Look at the other pictures. Everly sensed something was off. Her expression turned solemn. Isn't this Ethan? One of the pictures showed Ethan standing under a nearby tree. He stood there quietly. The sunlight danced through the leaves, casting an eerie pattern over his face. His face seemed colder than usual because of it. Wearing the haughty expression he always wore, he witnessed the whole accident. Olivia held Everly's hand. Everly realized that Olivia's hands were clammy with sweat. Everly comforted her, Liv, calm down. Call Ethan and ask him. Eve, do you think that it is a coincidence? Olivia's voice was quivering. My father's car crash wasn't an accident. He planned everything. She could barely tell the cruel truth. Perhaps, he just happened to stand right there. Olivia grabbed Everly's arm tightly. On the same day, a few car crashes happened at the same time. The roads were blocked, so the ambulance couldn't arrive in time. If Dad had received an emergency treatment, he wouldn't have suffered a side effect. He's been hospitalized for 2 years. Eve, it is Ethan. He planned everything. He planned the car crashes to stall time. He wanted my father to die at the scene. That is a living person. Even if Ethan is a bully, that is his father-in-law. He wouldn't do such a thing. Everly didn't know what else to say. Olivia was crying and smiling at the same time. The smile was awful. You don't know him. He's capable of doing anything. He had fertilized flowers with someone else's ashes before. As long as he wanted to achieve something, there was nothing he wouldn't do. I thought he took revenge on Dad to make us go bankrupt. I didn't relate him to the car crash at all. He is a devil. He murdered my father. Liv, Everly was at her wits' end as she didn't know how to comfort Olivia. The picture proved that he was present during the car crash. It didn't indicate that he was the mastermind. Yet, Olivia was certain that he was the culprit. Olivia was utterly disappointed. She knew that he wasn't a kind person, but she had never expected this kind of cruelty from him. Now, she realized that she didn't know much about him. Eve, you know what? On the day of the car crash, I was making a meal at home because it was Ethan's birthday, she recounted. Everly drew a few tissues for Olivia to wipe her tears off. The tissues were soon dampened because Olivia couldn't stop crying. Olivia continued, Ethan never celebrated his birthday because he shared the same birth date as his sister. He's always in low spirits on his birthday. I racked my brain to come up with an idea to make him feel better. I remember I spent a lot of time decorating the place. Yet, before he came home, all I received was news of my father in dire condition after a car crash. She placed her hand on her chest, trying to catch her breath. I once thought of ending the bad blood between us with my death. Now, I regret it. Why does the person have to be me and not him? Why do I have cancer? Why is God so unfair? Everly said, Calm down, Liv. He was at the scene, but that doesn't mean that he was the mastermind. Who gave you the pictures? What if it's a scam? Olivia said, I hired a detective to look into the car crash. There are no grudges between the detective and me. Why would he set me up? That day was Leia's birthday, so he's trying to make it my father's death anniversary. I bet he didn't expect my father to survive that. His plan was delayed. Olivia smiled bitterly. I was grateful to Ethan for not putting an end to my family. Now that I think about it, perhaps he wanted me dead. And my child. I guess he didn't save me on purpose. Dad survived, so Ethan wanted me and my child to make up for Leia's death. Everly hugged her. Liv, don't let your imaginations run wild. You're giving me chills. Ethan loved you. He would never do anything to hurt you, no matter what. However, Olivia was on the verge of losing herself. Ethan felt like a stranger to her. Eve, you were right. Did I owe him anything? Why do I have to end up like this just because I pity him for losing a sister? I'm the most pathetic person here. I lost my father, my child, and a home to depend on. I've been putting up with Marina's antics. She poured eggs over me, demanding me to kneel before her. What am I doing these for? Does Ethan think that because everyone's beneath his station, he can play God? Let's see if he can control my life. Olivia's distorted expression scared Everly as the latter said, Liv, calm down. You're scaring me, Eve. I will take revenge. I will take everything that Marina and Ethan owe me from them. I will make them pay the price. My poor child, you must be in heaven looking over me. That's why you unveil the truth to me, right? Olivia walked to the bathroom like a lifeless doll, muttering, Once I get our revenge, I'll come to you. Wait for me. I'll come to you soon. To Everly, Olivia was a bright person who grew up with a good upbringing. She was a proper person who upheld the right values. She never used underhanded schemes. Even if she was born into a rich family, she didn't look down upon ordinary people. It was normal for Ethan to fall for a confident and sophisticated person like Olivia. As a woman herself, Everly liked Olivia, too. There were a lot of times when Everly was embarrassed of herself when she compared herself with the upright Olivia. However, the woman standing before Everly didn't feel like the Olivia she knew at all. Now, she was like a doll in a breakdown. Her beautiful eyes were devoid of emotions, sending chills down Everly's spine. Everly said, "Liv, what are you talking about?" Similar to a mad woman, Olivia cried and smiled at the same time. Her perspective shifted completely because of the pictures. Now, she finally understood why kindness was the opening for others to bully her. She wept. He won't help me to look for Leo. He simply needed a reason to bully me. Yet, I'm still wishing for my father to regain his consciousness like a fool. Liv, Everly called. Olivia went berserk. I'm a dog to him. He gives me some toys when he's happy, and I have to be grateful to him. I have to be careful around him because I'm afraid of offending him. I reckon he sees me as a clown. I'm hurting, but I have to please him. Yet, he takes the liberty to rub salt on my wound. Liv, calm down, Everly attempted to comfort her. Olivia responded, calm down? Eve, how am I supposed to calm down? They're the cause of my misfortune. Why do I have to die and not them? Chill shrouded Everly. Liv, do not think of anything silly. Yes, Marina is a total peach, but her child is innocent. Do not think of hurting him. Olivia's mother passed away when she was young, so Jeff was the only person she could depend on. Family mattered the most to her. When she got pregnant, her child was her world. She thought everything that happened to Jeff and her baby was accidental. Thus, she didn't blame Ethan. But everything was different now. It was not an accident but an attempted homicide. The other party had harmed her precious family, so she would never let this slide easily. Everly persuaded Olivia patiently in order to prevent a tragedy from happening. Olivia smiled at her. Eve, what are you thinking? Why would I hurt a child? That's a relief. Olivia looked out of the window. It was a sunny day. The snow pile on the branches melted under the sun before dripping onto the roof. The droplets gathered and formed a puddle, much like her resentment that slowly grew. She muttered, I'm curious if Ethan was sad when my baby was gone. He didn't even see my baby. If Connor was that dying baby back then, would Ethan be upset? Even just a little. Everly felt a cold sheen behind her back when she heard that. She hurriedly grabbed Olivia's hands. Liv, oh Liv, please do not have that kind of thought. I was wrong to mention the story of revenge and rebirth. Those are just fictional stories. They don't apply to us. Ethan is a bastard, and Marina is a peach. But Connor is innocent. You had a child yourself too. Olivia became agitated upon hearing Everly's words. An ominous glint danced in Olivia's eyes as she said aloud, Connor is innocent. But my dead child is innocent, too. The person who should have died is him. She rubbed her throbbing chest with a contorted expression. If he hadn't been born, my child wouldn't have died. Silly girl. Why do you have such extreme thoughts? Liv, listen to me, I am a realist, but I do believe in fate. Everything that's happening is destined to be. Your baby has become an angel sooner than most people. If you look into the sky, he might be watching you. He wants you to live a good life, not waste your time doing the things you will regret later on. Think about the hardships you've gone through. I bet you can't bring yourself to see others experience the same thing, do you? Everly asked. Olivia looked back at Everly icily. Do you know what I went through the past year? Why does my family have to be ruined? Marina is living happily with her family, and Ethan can do anything he wants. All I want is to have them have a taste of their medicine tenfold. Liv Everly gazed at her concernedly. Olivia suddenly broke into a smile. Don't give me that look. I won't do anything until Dad regains his consciousness. Liv, I know that I'm not in a position to say anything because I didn't experience the same situation you did. All I wish for is for you to be healthy. Keep your cool, Everly said. Don't worry. I am as calm as ever right now. Everly was in a distress. She didn't know what was running in Olivia's mind, but she couldn't do anything about it either. When she left, she heard Olivia humming a lullaby. When Olivia was pregnant, she bought a lot of toys and downloaded lullabies on her playlist. At that time, Everly teased, "Your baby isn't out yet, and you already learned so many lullabies. Be careful not to fall asleep." Olivia rubbed her belly with a gentle smile. It'll be too late to learn it after the baby is born. I'll be a total mess. It's my first time becoming a mother. Of course, I should be prepared. He can actually feel it. He smiled whenever I hum the songs. He doesn't kick me either. I think he's going to be a sweet boy that cares for his mother. Everly chuckled. You're pretty. It's fine as long as he looks like you or his father. I'm looking forward to meeting him already. Olivia anticipated the day that had never come. Little did she know that Ethan, who hadn't bothered her for days, was on the other side of the globe. He was in a life-threatening situation. A masked Ethan leaped off the bridge and a rain of bullets showered from the bridge. Red smeared across the surface of the water. He won't be able to get far. After him, instructed one of the pursuers. Ethan swam out of the river, covering the wound on his right arm while reaching the shore. A cube box was in his tight grasp. He expressed relief, muttering, "Jethro, are you watching over me? See? I got it back for you." A few days ago, Ethan found Leo, but he didn't inform Olivia about it. He flew to another country. He had something to settle there. But it was also because of something else that was important. He wanted to take Leo back to the country personally. He figured that Olivia would be happy to see Leo. Noticing the smile on his face, Ethan quickly shook that idea off. He thought, whether she'll be happy or not, it doesn't matter to me. I found Leo because I want to take control of her life and death. That way, it'll be easier to torture her. Ethan spent a few more days abroad. He suddenly received news of Leo's disappearance. They had reached an agreement before this. Ethan sent Jeff's medical reports to Leo, who shared his professional opinion about it and agreed to perform the surgery. Yet, Leo vanished in thin air when Ethan was going to take him back to the country. Brent reminded Ethan, "Mr. Miller, Leo's acting weird." Ethan appeared calm, but his eyes were dangerously icy. "He fooled us. Obviously, Leo revealed his whereabouts to them and was acting agreeable. Ethan was here to personally escort Leo but was attacked by surprise. Now that Leo had disappeared, it was evident that he was fooling Ethan. He's the first to reject the Miller Group. Brent inwardly wished Leo luck. Ethan ordered indifferently, "Spread the news on the dark web that I'm offering a bounty worth 1 million on Leo. I don't care if he's captured alive or dead." "Okay. But what about Mrs. Miller?" Brent knew that things were going rigid between Olivia and Ethan. Jeff was the factor sustaining their relationship. If Ethan failed to keep his promise, their relationship would turn worse. "Let's talk about that when we return," Ethan replied. It had been days since he last met Olivia. He wondered if the wound on her eyebrow had healed. He was worried that it would leave a scar. At that moment, he wished he could meet her at that instant. "Tell her to pick me up from the airport," he said. "Yes, sir." At the same time, Olivia was looking after Jeff at the hospital. Kelvin relayed Ethan's message to her. Suppressing the resentment in her, she used the calmest tone ever to say, "Okay." The caregiver had taken good care of Jeff. He was sleeping soundly in bed. However, he needed the medicines and nutrient fluid to sustain himself. So he appeared skinnier than before. When Olivia was wiping his hands with a cloth, she noticed that his muscles were becoming loose. Jeff survived the car crash, so Ethan provoked him. That resulted in Jeff getting a heart attack. Jeff was in a coma in the end. Olivia tightened her fists as resentment flared in her eyes. It was getting late. Kelvin drove her to the airport. She had a simple meal at the airport. It didn't matter to her if Jeff was able to regain his consciousness. As long as she was alive, she would never let Ethan and the others live in peace. She wouldn't be able to live long anyway. So she didn't mind the idea of bringing a few people down to rock bottom with her. Olivia waited in the waiting room for a while. She checked the landing hour through the schedule to head out of the room 5 minutes before the plane landed. It had been sunny without snowfall in Aldenvine for the past 2 days. Thus, the plane landed on time. Ethan took the VIP exit out. When Olivia was going to walk up to him, she noticed the person walking next to him. It was Chris. Although she had met him only once, she would never forget him. Back then, it was Chris who picked Chloe up from Fordham residence. The man Chloe could never get over was naturally not bad. She was willing to forsake everything behind to leave with him. Ethan and Chris walked side by side. Objectively speaking, Jeff and Chris were equally handsome. The only difference was their aura. Jeff had a gentle and graceful demeanor, yet Chris was shrouded by oppressive air. Chris was looking at Olivia with sharp gazes, sending chills biting her skin. It was as though a beast was eyeing her. She was very young when he came to Fordham residence back then. She wondered if he could recognize her. Soon, she knew that he could recognize her. He stopped in front of her. "Miss Fordham, waiting for someone." Olivia didn't know how to face him at this moment. It was supposed to be a grudge between the older generation. But as time passed, she felt that he was the person who stole Chloe from her, turning her into a motherless child. "Yes," she replied indifferently and glanced at Ethan. Perhaps guilt was pricking Chris' conscience as he tried to appear harmless. He softened his tone. Your mother has been mentioning you a lot these years. Now that we're back, feel free to visit us at any time. You can meet her anytime you want. Okay. Olivia shifted her gaze onto Ethan, who seemed paler than usual. Together with those eye bags, she could tell that he didn't rest up well for the past 2 days. Chris was now Ethan's father-in-law. She wondered how he would act in front of his ex-wife when his father-in-law was around. After all, Chris was the aggressive type. If Ethan hurt Marina, Chris would definitely come at Ethan with a knife. Olivia didn't utter a word. She was waiting for Ethan to react. Then, he proved to her that promises and sweet nothings could never prevail over reality. He merely glanced at her before looking away, treating her like a passerby. Chris bid her goodbye out of courtesy, yet Ethan strode by her expressionlessly. The cold breeze brushing her cheeks reminded her of the reality check. Olivia understood what Ethan meant by that. He didn't want to expose their relationship to Chris. Once they left, she took another way out of the airport. As soon as she opened the car door, she was pulled into an embrace. Olivia knew who it was without taking a look at the man. Ethan was wearing a suit that perfectly outlined his built figure. The glint in his eyes was dangerous, as always. She could recognize him through his sharp jaw alone, too. His cedar scent wafted her nose, creating an intimate atmosphere in the back seat. She stifled the urge to shove him away for her big plans. She broke the silence first. Where have you been? Now that she had gotten over him, she showed no interest in his life. She wouldn't take notice of his social media updates nor check his Twitter account repeatedly, let alone click his profile picture again and again. Had Ethan not informed her to pick him up from the airport, she wouldn't have known that he had been abroad. Work. It was a succinct answer. He wanted to talk about Leo, but it would ruin the atmosphere. Olivia was sitting on his lap. Her body was warming his thighs. In addition to the closed space, their intimate posture was a fluttering scene to behold. The temptation was urging him to do something more. His finger traced upward along her neck, sending tingling heat to her skin. It finally stopped at her eyebrow. He observed her cheek carefully as his voice softened. Is it healed? As the lighting flowed through the window, he noticed a scar on top of her eyebrow. It was barely visible without a closer look. His coarse fingertip rubbed her wound softly. Thank you for what you did that day. His breath brushed her forehead lightly. Olivia thought that he was being unusually gentle to her because she saved Connor. She was suddenly intrigued to know Ethan's reaction when she killed Connor one day. He wouldn't be as gentle as he was right now, for sure. She began to look forward to that day. She wanted him to know how it felt like to lose his loved one. Olivia replied indifferently, "It's nothing. I was once a mother, too." Ethan's arms tightened around her waist when he heard that. She continued, "Any updates about Leo's whereabouts?" His eyebrows creased. He recounted the whole story without hiding anything. "I've announced a bounty on him. We'll find him soon." She took it as an excuse because she had expected this coming. She thought, he wants Dad to die. Why will he spend the effort to look for Leo? He gave me his word back then so that I wouldn't get in his way. What a great actor you are, Ethan Miller. Mockery tinged her gazes. Meanwhile, Ethan took her silence as a disappointment, so he comforted her, "I will find him." "Okay." She didn't want to continue that boring topic anymore, so she switched the subject. "It's Connor's birthday party in 2 days. Can I join?" Her child passed away on Connor's birthday. Ethan was aware that her child's death had always been her sore spot. "You?" She raised her head. The street lights reflected in her dark eyes as she licked her dry lips. "It's been a year. I think it's time for me to move on." Her eyes met Ethan's deep gaze. A faint light shone on his face. It cast a glow on half his face while the other half was shrouded in shadow. It reflected his conflicting personality. He could be an angel sometimes, but he could also be a demon. Olivia was not sure if he would agree to her request. It was his child's first birthday party, after all. His child, which he had with another woman. Their engagement party was postponed. But Marina brought the birthday party forward to announce her status and identity to the world. She had already sent out invitations to every rich and powerful person long ago. She wanted everyone to know. It was apparent that the ex-wife would not be welcomed at the party. Ethan did not say anything. But his naturally prideful temperament made her more nervous than ever. She didn't even realize that sweat was seeping out of her clenched fists. He looked at her seriously and said, "Fine." Her whole body relaxed after she got a positive answer. She dared not let too many emotions slip before Ethan. His enigmatic eyes seemingly saw through all her schemes. The car arrived at the Miller residence quickly. She knew what he had in mind. Kelvin had already opened the door for her. It wasn't snowing tonight, but the wind was strong. The cold winds blew at her from all directions. Ethan did not walk as fast as he normally did. Instead, he was waiting for her at a short distance. He only started to walk again after he saw that she had gotten out of the car. Olivia followed behind him with steady steps. She did not have pleasant memories at the Miller residence. But she had no choice but to follow through for the sake of her upcoming plan. The door to the second floor opened. She followed while dragging her feet. As soon as she entered the room, her body was pressed against the wall by Ethan. She choked on her words as Ethan sealed her lips with a kiss. His movements were rough and without care. He was like a typhoon that wanted to destroy her. Olivia did not understand why he came looking for her as soon as he came back. She was his enemy. Why didn't he go to his new lover instead? Didn't he say that she was bony? Ethan unzipped her down jacket while she was still zoned out. As expected, there was a sweater underneath the jacket. But she felt exposed as soon as the jacket was unzipped. Olivia managed to push him away with great effort. Her hands were pushing against his chest. "I know you're in a hurry, but please slow down, Mr. Miller." Ethan's hoarse voice came from the darkness. "I have a lot of patience tonight, Olivia." He had plenty of time to strip her down, even if she had as many layers as an onion. "Let me take a bath first. I've been at the hospital the entire day." "I don't mind." Olivia did not believe for a second that he wasn't having perverted thoughts. She pushed him off her and said, "Just for a bit." Olivia quickly ran to the bathroom. She was trying to think of a way to refuse his advances politely. As the door was about to close, a slipper was stuck at the edge. Ethan's looming body squeezed into the bathroom immediately after. "Let's bathe together." He casually took off his suit and revealed his white shirt. He started to unbutton his shirt. As he unbuttoned his collar, it looked as if his self-control left him, and he was replaced by a devil. His dark eyes were focused on her face. "Then," he said, "from your expression, I'd say that you have something to say to me." Olivia quickly tried to come up with an excuse. "How would I?" She was pulled into his arms before she could finish her sentence. At that, Olivia's weak body lost balance. And she grabbed at his shirt helplessly. He then held onto her waist, which finally stopped her wobbling. After she found her footing, she instinctively tried to move back. But she was forced onto the bathroom sink by Ethan. Ethan placed his hands on both sides of her. He leaned in slightly and trapped her. He loved the feeling of being in control of others. And Olivia was like his prey with nowhere to run. He looked down at her with an aggressive look. He lifted her chin with one of his hands and kissed her. "If you have any complaints, suck it up." He was a tyrant, emotionless and unhinged. Suddenly, Olivia noticed a blood stain on his left arm. The stain was slowly growing larger on his shirt. She finally found an excuse to stop this. She quickly pushed him back and said, "You're hurt." Ethan subconsciously tried to hide from her prying gaze. "It's nothing, just a scratch." "You're bleeding so much." "There's no way that's a small wound. You must have broken some stitches. We need to get it bandaged now." He raised his eyebrows. "You do it," he said. She didn't mind helping him bandage his wound. It was better than having sex with him. She was able to hold him off from having sex with her for the rest of the night with that excuse. Soon, it was Connor's first birthday party. The party was set on a cruise ship. Marina had picked the location herself. She probably wanted to rub her victory in Olivia's face. This was where she won the battle a year ago. Even now, when looking at the ocean, Olivia could still vividly remember Ethan swimming decisively toward Marina. She could also recall sinking into the bottom of the ocean. She felt so helpless as the ocean swallowed her up back then. The sun was setting. Kelvin came to get her as promised. He was still as talkative as ever. "Mrs. Miller, the cruise ship is going to be so lively tonight. There will be a lot of activities. A firework show is also happening later." He meant for Olivia to enjoy herself tonight. She had had a tough year. But he neglected the fact that the celebration tonight was meant for Ethan and Marina. It had nothing to do with her. Olivia chatted with Kelvin half-heartedly for a bit. She was the last one to board the ship. It was to avoid meeting the Carltons, as that would have been awkward. Ethan was unexpectedly looking out for her. Kelvin had gotten used to seeing Olivia in down jackets. His eyes glowed in surprise when he saw her in an evening gown. "Mrs. Miller, you look gorgeous today." She had never accompanied Ethan to any events in the 3 years she was with him. Naturally, it meant that she never had the chance to wear an evening gown. She dressed herself up today. She even put on heels. She quickly attracted the gazes of men and the jealousy of women. Most people did not know who she was. Many men approached her to hit on her. Callista was mad with anger. She's still as much of a show-off as ever. So disgusting. Why are you so mad at her, Callista? She's pretty and has a great figure. She isn't wearing anything outrageous either. Callista replied, it's Connor's first birthday party today. She's wearing a black gown and a black veil. Did she think she was attending a funeral? She snorted. Stop the nonsense, Callista. Marina would beat out of you if she heard what you said. Don't ruin this happy occasion with your foul mouth. Callista was still discontent. She hated the fact that Olivia became the center of attention wherever she went. Calvin walked up to Olivia and said, Hey! Fancy seeing you at these types of events. Hey, Calvin, Olivia responded courteously. I didn't like events like these in the past. And after the Fordhams went bankrupt, I never got the chance to come to one. You could spend $500 million like it was nothing. If you don't even get to go to events like this, I think most people on this ship haven't either. Calvin knew about her relationship with Ethan, but he kept it to himself. He only winked at her in secret. It would seem like he found something on the security cameras back then. Olivia had an idea of what it was. Before Olivia could say anything, Callista said in a mocking tone, Didn't I tell you, Calvin? Olivia would at least get with a rich old man. She has the looks for it. Olivia, I haven't heard about the passing of any rich old man, though. Counting down the days of your rich old husband? Aren't you a wicked woman? From Callista's perspective, Olivia must have gotten with a rich old man, which was why she kept her man a secret. Why wouldn't she flaunt her man if he was a rich heir? Stop talking nonsense in public, Callista, Calvin said. He glared at her. His attitude upset her. Calvin, why are you so protective of her? Are you planning to marry her after her husband dies? Your father will not allow that to happen. Stop spouting nonsense. You should head in first, Olivia. It's cold on the deck, Calvin suggested. That wasn't a good place to talk. Olivia also didn't want to deal with Callista. Callista had been after her like a dog on a bone. She nodded and left. Calvin. You've got your eyes on her, haven't you? I know that you wrote her a love letter in secret back in school. Calvin looked on as Olivia left. It didn't matter if it was now or then. She wasn't someone that he was good enough for. During the school years, he was one of the many people that admired her. That was not to say that he was completely infatuated with her. But he had a genuine affection for her when they were still students. Now that everyone had gotten into the workforce, there was only more work to look forward to. The pure feelings from the adolescent years were long gone. They were buried deep in his heart, never to surface again. Now that he had found out about Olivia's identity, his respect for her only grew. He exchanged a few words with others briefly and went looking for her. Marina was not happy to see Olivia. Her expression was full of rage. Whenever she closed her eyes, she could still see the image of Olivia smearing her face with batter and beating her up. It was absolutely absurd. On the other hand, Chloe was delighted to see Olivia. Her face lit up when she saw her. She quickly made her way toward Olivia. I'm so happy you could make it, Liv. Why did you cut your hair short for no reason? But then again, you have good genes. So you look good either way. Chloe's eagerness used to be the maternal love she craved as a kid. Back then, whenever she had a fever, she would yearn for Chloe's embrace. But she left her and went overseas. She became Marina's stepmother. Olivia was long past that. She even had a thing or two to say to Chloe. "Does it really matter to you whether I have long or short hair?" Olivia looked at Chloe calmly and continued, "Mrs. Carlton, you never even sent me a postcard throughout these years. Now, you're trying to play the part of a loving mother? Aren't you ashamed? Anyway, your sudden display of concern is so embarrassing to me that I could die." Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.